Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 10 of the Dateable AF Podcast. Today, we are talking about trust comes back when behavior changes. This is a big one, how to rebuild trust when it's been broken. So let's talk about the moment that trust breaks. I think most people think that trust breaks in one dramatic moment, like something big happens, and sometimes it does. But just as often, I think trust erodes quietly over time through repeated disappointments, through broken promises, or through emotional unreliability.
Yeah, I believe that as well, that it's what people consider small, insignificant things, but that they happen over and over again, and then someone then can't count on you. Your word is no longer, and small things like never showing up somewhere on time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, we talked about that. It is, and some people I think would go, but it's a problem.
Yeah. You build trust when your words and your actions line up. And even if it's small ways in which that doesn't happen, like you said, arriving late consistently or promising that you'll take out the trash and not doing it, all of those things can really erode trust. And once that trust gets shaky, people want to know, how do we actually get it back? And so today we're going to be talking about why trust isn't repaired by apologies. Not that apologies aren't important, they definitely are. Trust is also not repaired by explanations, as we talked about in our last episode. Trust isn't restored by taking time alone. So what does actually help rebuild trust? I think we can start by talking about what trust really is.
Yeah, I mean, trust isn't just a feeling, it's a prediction.
Yeah, that's great. It's a prediction of how someone's going to behave in the future. You know, because you've built a solid foundation with someone, what they might do in any given situation. And unpredictable people have a really hard time maintaining long-term relationships because it's scary to be with that person.
You know, it's when trust breaks, I think what really breaks is the expectation of reliability. And we were just talking about, say, being on time, some of these small things. But I have found that people that do, let's say they're never on time, that they also have a tendency to do these other micro breakings. You know, they have these other small things, that everything from you tell them not to tell something and they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, to just not, like you said, not taking out the garbage or saying they're going to do something in the house. So you're counting on them to do it and they just don't see it as a big deal. And I oftentimes see people that they sort of do them all. Like they do those little micro aggressions.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't think they see that they're huge, that they create big trust issues.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about your group of friends and you make plans with someone, you can tell, you could look at that list and you can tell me who 100% is going to show up or who might cancel on you.
Mm.
And I can tell that with my clients. If I look at my schedule for the week, I know that there are some people that are going to show up unless they are on their deathbed. And then there are other people that I'm like, they might text me an hour before and say they're not going to make it. I would be willing to bet that if they do that in therapy, they are doing that in other areas of their life too.
Yep. I have a Monique in my life.
You do?
I do. I have some Veronicas too, but I have a Monique in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a wonderful person, but this is sort of an example of that. But not just to me, but a handful of us that share Monique as a friend, know her as the person who either waits till the last minute to accept an invitation, which I think leaves all of her friends believing that she's waiting for a better offer. And I
Oof.
don't know if she knows that, but it's the way it
Mhm.
comes across. Or is the most likely to cancel.
Mm. Yep.
And yeah, and I don't think she sees herself as that.
Probably not. And if you needed a friend you could count on, my guess is she's probably not the person that's at the top of your list.
No, she's not. And I don't know if people realize, if you're that person, you realize that on the other side of that, for me, I just have low expectations of Monique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you label it as low expectations. What's really happening is that you don't fully trust her.
Yep.
Yep. What are you doing over there that's making that noise?
I'm sorry. It was my pen. I needed it to help me think.
Did you forget that you weren't on mute?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Maybe our lovely editor, Jordan, can edit that out.
Sometimes it's just something to help me. I'm pondering.
You're
the
pondering.
topic.
Well, you need to get a quiet fidget toy that does not make noise while we're recording.
Yeah, I need a tiny goat.
From our last episode, everybody needs a tiny donkey. Whether or not they actually exist in reality, we don't know. Going back to what trust really is, trust is the belief that somebody's behavior is going to match what they say. So in your case, if your friend says they're coming to an event, you trust that they're going to come. Trust is built from consistency, not chemistry. So you could have really, really high chemistry with someone, but if you don't have that consistency, you're not going to truly trust them.
And when trust breaks, what really breaks, well, we had mentioned this, it's just the expectation of reliability. You just don't seem, people don't count on you.
Yeah. Yep. And repairing trust isn't about convincing someone with your words. And oh my God, we have all been there. Someone who says, I'm so sorry, give me another chance. I won't do it again. And they do it again, of course. So it's about changing what the person can expect from you. And I don't want to minimize the importance of an apology, because you've heard us say this many times on this podcast, that taking verbal accountability for your actions and apologizing when you've negatively impacted someone is really, really important. But what's even more important is changing your behavior so that the person knows they can count on you.
One of the things that came up as we were talking about this is the idea that that apologies address, this caught my attention and it really framed it well, I think, is apologies only address the past and trust is about the future.
Yeah, that's so true.
I love that, because to me, it really brought it home. I think that people that break trust often get frustrated because they feel they apologized and that everything should be okay.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that all should be forgiven going forward.
Mhm.
And that what they don't realize, well, there's the habitual offender, and so nobody believes you, but
Mhm.
your apology doesn't carry any weight. But
Yeah.
really beyond that is this, where your apology, like you said, it's valuable in the moment. You should apologize.
Mhm.
But that's not going to repair the work that you're going to have to do to change that dynamic for the future.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So you apologize for the impact and then you change your behavior. Because people, they don't build trust because they hear the right words from you. Again, they rebuild it because they start to see different patterns. I have a good example of this that comes up fairly frequently in therapy, and that has to do with substance use. I can't tell you how many times I've seen couples either break up or being on the verge of breaking up because one of them has a substance problem. And it's one of those things that it's really, really hard for both people. But what typically happens is the substance user says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to drink anymore. Or I'm not going to smoke weed anymore, or whatever the thing is. And they mean it at the time. And then it's Tuesday and it's happy hour and your friends are all going out and you don't plan to drink, but you do. And then they're back in the middle of it. And what I often suggest is that there has to be a time period where this person keeps that promise. So I'll give you an example. A couple that broke up because one of the partners was a substance abuser and they're contemplating getting whether they should get back together or not. And what I told the partner is wait to see a demonstrated pattern of the changed behavior. So call me in 6 months. If you're still sober, I will go on a date with you. Or if you're still going to 12-step program, or if you've, taken care of your health in these ways that you're supposed to be taking care of your health, then let me know when you've been doing that for 6 months. And then we'll talk about it. Because my analogy for this is you don't go to work on your first day of work and tell your boss like, hey, give me the paycheck. I promise I'll work till Friday. No, you go to work, you work your 5 days and then you get the paycheck. So it's like, you can't base trust on someone's promise. You base trust on someone's demonstrated pattern of behavior. And that's kind of bottom line with that.
Well, and we were talking a minute ago about sort of trust issues that I feel like were they're sort of micro things. They're impactful, but we're diving into really big trust issues of abusive behavior, anger issues, substance use problems. Those are huge, have huge trust impacts within all relationships, whether it be from your family members to your kids to your, a partner. And one thing I will say about this, having been throughout my lifetime of having exposure to the blessed exposure really to some people who have done very hard work around some of those types of issues in their life. I have the pattern that I see, and as the person who's say on the other side of that, is that people who are struggling, let's say, with one of those big 5 or whatever behaviors, that I trust them at the point at which they're taking the lead role at helping me understand where they are in those behaviors and how they're going to manage those versus them looking at me and waiting until they think that I do something that either impacts that behavior or in their mind causes a slippage or that they've been put into a different environment that they want to blame for the inconsistencies or whatever. And and so I'm just saying to the average person out there, I mean, you're a therapist and you understand this stuff deeply, but for folks like me, where we're out there just navigating relationships, that has become a real good rule of thumb for me is when I have a friend or someone I'm engaged with, and I'm thinking about it like we're really developing a relationship, whether it be a date or anything. What I'm not scared of is them talking to me about their frailties in life. I'm not scared of that. What I'm scared of is them not being responsible for those and taking that responsibility and owning how that can work within a relationship.
Yeah. I'm maybe putting you on the spot here, but can you think of a specific, even hypothetical example of that when you say that you're not afraid of the frailties, but you're afraid of them not taking accountability for it?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that I have a very dear friend that has some food issues and which is also directly correlates to body issues. And my original interactions with that person, it was in a realm of things that I didn't really understand. And they were very clear with me about the impact that had on them and the ways that it would manifest itself and the things that I could do when that was going bad. And it meant everything. Like, because to me, then I didn't feel like I was walking through a foreign land. I trusted, it built instant trust with that individual, that they were responsible. They were taking responsibility for that. And that was not somehow going to land on me. If it did, I had tools to know how to sort of deal with it and the possibility that it might land on me.
Mhm.
And so that, to me, it's a great example of, that's a big deal.
Mhm.
And there are tons of possibilities of trust issues that could, I could step in the wrong thing and say something that would break down the trust between me and that person.
Mhm.
Them not actually opening up to me about when they were feeling rough around the edges,
Yeah. Mhm.
So it just gave me an opportunity, a good look into how that system can work. And I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, that's a great example. I like that. And yeah, those kinds of things definitely can build trust. Taking accountability, taking responsibility for your own, like you said, frailties or your own behaviors, I think is huge. If the trust gets broken, let's talk about some things that can rebuild that trust. I would say the first thing, and we've already referenced this, is you have to have consistently trustworthy behavior over a period of time. So you can't say, well, I took out the trash last week, so you should trust me again. Or it has to be built over time, that you have to prove to someone, or not, proof's not a good word. You have to demonstrate to someone over time that you are committed to being a trustworthy person.
Yeah. I I could say a lot about this on a personal level, but we've touched a little bit on it. But just having to do a lot of my own personal work around being monogamous, and that's, nothing breaks down trust quicker more than that. And so
You've talked about this before, that you've done a lot of self-exploration, and made a commitment that that's the person that you want to be, and you've demonstrated that over a long period of time.
well, and it's to this point about trust, it is something, because I think you also build trust by not being afraid to sort of expose things that are
Mhm.
fragile or sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that this touches on exactly what you were talking about the food and weight stuff. Transparency without being forced. I talk about this with clients a lot, that I believe that disclosure exists on a continuum. And on one end of the continuum, you have mandatory disclosure. Like, you must tell me if you talk to anyone throughout the day, for example. And on the other end of that continuum is secrecy. Like, I'm not going to tell, this is a secret, whoever I talk to during the day. And the best place to be on that continuum is in the middle, that you don't feel forced to disclose something, but you also don't feel secretive about it. So just being, yeah, like, this has been an issue for me. I'm not feeling pressured into talking about it, but I'm also not feeling withholding about it.
and I do believe that that's what helps. It's those small reveals along the way where you're also building trust. If you really are trying to build a more deeper, more intimate relationship with somebody, you really need to be able to release those a little bit along the way, so that the other
Yeah.
person can prove to you that you're safe, that they can hold your confidences, your weaknesses, your frailties. If you don't ever open up to it, they'll never prove to you. They don't get a chance to prove to you that they can step up, that they're
Yeah.
trustworthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And following through on small things, like we've talked about before, showing up on time, or you being that person who your friends know is going to show up. If you say, I'm coming to your birthday party on Saturday, you're coming to the birthday party on Saturday. Following up on those, with those small things is a really important way of building trust.
And willingness to tolerate accountability. That one is interesting too, because I think if you're trustworthy, unless somebody's trying to put you in a cage, you shouldn't be so defensive about being accountable. And we talk about this a little bit, like, do you need to snoop on your person's phone? If you need to snoop on your person's phone, then you've got a different issue that you definitely
Something's
have
already wrong.
Trust issue.
Yeah.
And so it kind of goes both ways. It's like, I don't care if you need to look at my phone, but I'm not going to love the fact that you feel the need to look at my phone.
Yeah, it's true. And if I felt the need to look at someone's phone, I should ask them and be like, hey, I'm feeling kind of scared right now. Like, could we sit down together and look at your text messages? That rarely, if ever, happens, but that's the way that it should be able to go. Because if the person's not doing something shady, then they'll be like, sure, go ahead. And if you feel like you have to sneak to do that, things are already not in a great place.
Right. Also, I'm going to say, I know in this dating world, I was just reading something about people on the dating apps. There's this thing where they're putting their credit score on there.
Wow. Okay.
And so it's like a thing where I'm going to pop up my credit score. So that means I'm more likely to get the swipes to the right,
Wow.
I
Okay.
know. I'm like, what in the world is going on out there? That again, if I'm in the dating world, if you are checking my credit scores or you're checking into my history in any way like that, I am immediately not going to trust you. Not
Right.
because I have anything to hide, but because you're ridiculously overreaching into my private business.
Yeah. This brings up a whole other topic that we could create a whole episode about. But in today's world, this is not that uncommon. And I would say, I don't, maybe I have a skewed audience, but I would say more for women than for men, because women feel like they want to know who someone is before they meet them for a date. And so I think Googling someone is pretty common. And maybe that's not the same as doing a deep dive and looking at someone's credit score. That feels a little excessive. And I would also be curious about what you would do with that information. Like, just because somebody's got an, 850 credit score doesn't mean they're a trustworthy person. It just means they pay their bills on time.
Right. And I'm not talking about Google searches, because I think that is common. Almost everybody, if they don't know you, they're going to Google you.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a bridge too far.
The credit score.
Yes, I just think that's crazy.
I'm gonna cheat on you and I'm gonna buy presents for my girlfriend, but I'm gonna pay that credit card bill on time. The credit card I used to buy the presents with the person I was cheating with.
Exactly. It's exactly right.
You can see my score, but you can't see what I charged on that card.
The diamond necklace that you're not wearing. Somebody else is wearing
right.
it.
Oh, that reminds me of Love Actually. That's one of my favorite movies, where he bought it. The wife saw her husband buying a necklace and she thought it was for her. And then Christmas came around and it wasn't for her. And it was,
and she had to open it in front of her kids. And it was a really sad moment.
It was a CD instead of a necklace. It was very sad. Anyway, if you haven't seen that movie, audience, you should watch it, because that is one of the best movies of all time.
It's a good one,
in my personal opinion. But that guy was not being trustworthy, buying the necklace for his little hoe bag coworker.
Hoe bag.
Well, the important thing to remember with trust, though, is that if the trust has been broken, it's going to come back through a series of ordinary moments. It's not going to come back because of a big declaration, like, you can trust me now. That's not going to do it. It might do it temporarily. So sometimes this process of building trust back feels really slow. And let's talk about that.
Well, I think if you you have kind of like we said before, your willingness to tolerate accountability is that once you've broken it, it doesn't come back overnight. And you say you've apologized, but it's the proof is in the pudding. You have dealt with, as we said before, you've dealt with the thing in the moment, but you haven't dealt with the future. Did you go away for a minute?
I had to try to quiet my dog down.
Okay. I heard that, but I
in the
wasn't
other
going to be
room.
rude like you were to me about clicking my pen.
I don't know what to do about her.
She wants in. Just let her in the office. No,
she's begging for a treat, but I don't know.
Okay.
She's not begging for me.
Oh.
So keep talking. I'm gonna stand by and go.
For the person who was hurt, it can feel risky to relax, and they're watching to see if change is real or temporary. So just because you've apologized, I mean, no, they're going to be on alert to see if you're going to do it again. And
Absolutely.
Oftentimes people are repeat offenders. So
yeah. Yes, that's absolutely true.
Actually, I do think people who protest too much are probably likely the repeat offenders.
I think you're exactly right about that. That is true. So I've seen this a lot when there's been a repair, when there's been a breach of trust and then there's a repair. Let's take infidelity, for example. The partner who committed the infidelity might think, I've apologized. Here I am. I'm trying. I'm not doing anything wrong. Why are you still holding on to this? Why isn't this fixed yet? And for the person who's on the other side of it, like, they're on alert. It's way too risky to relax and trust the person because they're waiting to see if that change is real or if it's just temporary. And trust rebuilds at its own pace. Trust rebuilds actually at the speed of safety, not at the speed of regret.
That's safety. That's a good line.
Safety takes time to accumulate.
Yeah. It's a very, very good line.
Well, what do you think helps both people in this process?
Well, for the person that's rebuilding trust, I think focusing less on convincing and more on consistency. So, stop looking at whether or not you think you have convinced the person that you're trustworthy. Focus on the work of what you need to be doing to become trustworthy.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like letting your behavior speak before your words do. And I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I don't like the word prove. You're not trying to prove something. You're trying to demonstrate something. And so there's just an openness to that. Like, just, watch what I'm doing and you're going to see that I'm demonstrating trustworthiness. I'm not going above and beyond to try to prove something to you because that's not going to be sustainable.
We're having a few dog things. Mine now decided to need something from me.
Perfect.
And it's not restored by pressure. It's restored by predictability.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're on the other side of the breach of trust and you're relearning to trust someone, you don't have to rush your comfort and you are allowed to take in the evidence slowly. Make sure you're not doing that in a punitive way.
Yeah.
That you're genuinely observing and you're genuinely, if you're going to stay in the relationship, you got to genuinely stay open to seeing if there has been a behavior change.
This brings up a good point here. For the person that's trying to regain trust with someone, don't try to trap them or set them up to break it.
No.
And I do think can be a common practice because you want so desperately to trust somebody. So you kind of want to test them to see if they're going to live up to their word. And I don't think that's a good part of the process either.
I did that one time, the trapping. I had when I was in the dating bee, so this was a very long time ago, but I had a feeling that somebody I was dating was looking at my phone.
Mm.
And so I typed something fake to one of my friends that had literally no basis in reality. And I waited, and guess what? The person brought it up. So I did. I trapped her, and she fell into the trap, and that was it.
Well, so there you have it. I don't think there was any more repair to be done on either side, right?
Mm-mm.
What did they
Nope.
say for themselves?
Well, they didn't really there's no defense to that. What are you going to say?
But they've been lying. Had you asked them directly if they were
Looking at my
looking at your?
phone?
Mhm.
Yeah, of course. And they
And
were like,
they
no. Mm-mm.
no. Mm.
And then they brought it up. So I can't remember exactly what it was because, like I said, it was a very long time ago. But I think it was something about I made up a fake plan with a fake person that I was doing on Friday night or something.
Let me just be clear. It was not me.
It was not Rachel. No.
I didn't look at your
We
phone.
didn't have cell phones back then. We barely had cell phones when we were together.
That was that in the big case, you know.
Oh
it was
yeah,
the giant.
the giant brick phone. Uh-huh. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
no text messaging back then. We might have got a little flip phone by the end, but no, this was after the invention of smartphones. Anyway, I don't recommend that setup, but there was some satisfaction in busting someone, I have to say.
Well, and to that, the story is obviously you didn't believe this person.
Right. They
So
didn't trust me because they were looking at my phone, and I didn't trust them because I thought they were looking at my phone.
Trust had already been broken. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
You just needed a little more proof.
Yep. I did. And then I got it. That was it.
You just
not
wanted to see their
recommended.
face.
Exactly.
Again,
all
and
right.
it doesn't. If you want to really stay with somebody and work these things out, I'm just going to say that is not one of the tools that I think is going to move you towards a resolution.
Yes, setting them up, absolutely not the way to go. All right, well, let's wrap this up and talk about what we would like folks to take away from this episode.
Well, trust isn't rebuilt by time. It's rebuilt by different behaviors inside that time. So apologies matter, but patterns matter more.
Yep. And consistency, behaving consistently over a period of time is the thing that's going to create that safety. And that trust doesn't come back in one fell swoop, just like it's generally not destroyed in one fell swoop. Trust returns quietly through repetition, not from making promises. If you have things that you want to discuss with your partner or your friends or someone that you may have had trust issues with, here is a question that you can talk about with each other. If trust between us needed repair, what kinds of behavior would actually help it grow back? So talk about this. Let us know what you come up with. If this episode sparked something for you, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us by email, info@dateableaf.com, or you can connect with us on Instagram by DM. We are @dateableaf. And if this conversation made you think of someone in your life or some experience that someone's had, please share the podcast with them because we are really excited about growing our community. As always, thank you for listening to the Dateable AF podcast, where we help you find your happy ending.
And remember, be bold, be kind, and for the love of self-respect, don't text your ex. Stay dateable.
AF.